Meşgulen. Yine size sosyal acı vermeyeyim.
I'm not going to give you any social torture. I don't want to steal from your coffee time, so I will try to show all my slides in like 5 minutes. I'm so sorry, but I'll have to skip some of my slides. There are two molecules which I will talk about. One of them is sodium nitroprusside. This has been published. This trial has been published. The other one is ketamine. Our veterinary friends have been using this for a very long time. It is an anesthetics that is used for the horses. They are used in circumcision ceremonies in Turkey as well. Now I'm going to talk about those. Sodium nitroprusside for the last 15 years has been my field of interest, but now I will try to simplify my 15 years in those 2 minutes, but you will never know what I had to go through in the last 15 years. Anyway, okay, this is RNDA and nitric oxide. There is nitric oxide, there is a protein here, and there is a binding between those. Everybody starts from the very top, and NMDA is targeted, but we started from the very bottom. We started from nitric oxide, so it's a bottom-up approach that we adopted. And then I'll show you the animal experiments now. When fensglidin is given to the animals, this angel lust, actually its name is angel lust, is causing a great effect. Those of you who are pharmacologists would know this is the dose response curve and how it has to look. What happens to the animal? Can you imagine what happens to the animal when used in 50 kilograms? Animals die because it's high dose. They simply die. We sacrifice them, let's say, to put it in better words. I don't know how to say it in Turkish, though. We took 5 milligrams, and then since 15 years, all these have been published. Anti-sense technology is the technology that we used in the first place. NNOS can be targeted selectively. It's a protein. You buy it, you give it to animals. We gave it to animals. And then when we did so, fencyclidine and the psychotic effects created by that was totally blocked. Then genetically modified knockout mice were picked, and there is no nitric oxide synthesis in them. Therefore, this fencyclidine was administered to them too, and still we could not see this psychotic status in rats. But this wasn't enough for us. Then we dealt with pharmacology. We both increased and decreased, and when we inhibited this molecule, the animals found themselves in more of a psychosis, and then sodium nitroprusside was tried. This is also a nitric oxide donor. So a dramatic effect was observed at the very end. It was very exciting for us, actually. We published it in 2000, and then we waited for 10 years. Finally, together with a group from Brazil, we started working on this matter, and it was published in JAMA Psychiatry, and now I'm going to summarize the results of this trial with you. In Brazil, as you know, the malignant hypertension is a disorder where we use this molecule. We had pills 20 years ago, and there was this gel form, but now only we have it in malignant hypertensive treatment. The dose we're using is very low. It has no side effects. This is the design. We administered it to 20 patients, placebo. 10 of them are active. Sodium nitroprusside was administered to them. And for 4 weeks, we reviewed all the patients, and sodium nitroprusside and placebo groups did not change at all. But in JAMA Psychiatry, we saw this. And from an ethical perspective, you cannot discontinue the drugs of the patients. This is really difficult to carry out a schizophrenia research. So without changing them at all, we included them in the clinical trial. And let me show you the results now. This is the design of the study. We had a cardiologist, a cardiothoracic surgeon, and we had an anesthesiologist as well, because we were doing it for the first time in the world and we didn't want anything bad to happen and we didn't want to see ourselves in the newspapers, so we were very precautious. So nothing happened to anybody. Even the families of the patients were there. Everybody was waiting as if something bad would happen, but knock on wood, nothing happened to anyone. We waited for 4 hours, and then we did a PRS, and we did a PANS negative. Of course, animal experiments, transferring them to humans is very difficult. Translational research is difficult. You may find it very difficult to believe, but I saw all the patients during the experiment, and I can tell you that within those 4 hours, right after 2 hours, the catatonic patients suddenly started to speak. They started hugging their family members and talking to them, and they went down to the cafeteria to eat after 4 hours. We had some individual patients like that as well. And in the BPRS total score, in negative symptoms, there was an increase in like 4 hours. This is negative symptoms shown separately. Of course, everybody wonders many things. Cardiologists, anesthesiologists, they were all interested in the subject. The cardiologist had a specific interest in schizophrenia, so he didn't take any money from us, but the others asked for some money. So everybody was expecting something to happen. Cardiovascular and pulmonary features were monitored in the patient, but these were paranoid. So when we were monitoring it, of course, it would be a higher level of anxiety for them. The families were also waiting for something to happen, but nothing happened. And blood pressure changed a little bit, but then nothing happened to anybody. So it was so exciting for us that JAMA Psychiatry is schizophrenia editor and the chief editor, Joe Coyle, have published an editorial in which they said if this is right, because everybody was questioning whether what we did was really right or wrong, so they said if what we did was right, then it would be opening up a new era for the treatment of schizophrenia, because it's very difficult to see everybody getting better in 4 hours. The other groups, I hope, will repeat the same thing. So we have other activities going on. One is in Brazil. We give the first episode, and then we give it to patients who are resistant to treatment. We augment the clozapine. So now in 2 minutes, I'm going to show you the ketamine that is used by us for circumcision. Well, 15, 20 years ago, if I told you that ketamine was given to those children, and children were becoming very excited right after the ceremony, you would never understand why. Because if we said that it had an antidepressant effect, we would be expelled from school. But now Janssen Pharmaceuticals company is accepting ketamine as an antidepressant. The half-life is very low, and it can be used in the markets. It has different names like Special K, etc. Do they have side effects or not? The well-known side effect is that it might cause sedative cystitis in the bladder. It's going to be in the market in 2 years' time, so this is something to bear in mind if we're going to have it in the market. So it might cause a continuous side effect in the continuous users, and everybody's waiting. There are many trials, and they all show us the effect of ketamine. Feyza Hanım talked about science. She talked about the scientific side of the issue. I'll talk about the political side of the matter. Duman and his friends in this journal are saying that ketamine has been the most developed drug of the last 50 years. Agajanyan is the person who is saying that, so everybody believes him. If it was Serdar Dursun saying this, I would be thrown out of schools. I'm sure about that. So as clinical studies, we have a list of them. You can find them from the literature. The first trial was carried out by John Crystal at the Yale, and then Carlos Arete did it in MIRH. Now he's together with Hüseyin Mancı. Carlos Arete is carrying out a similar study in which they are developing ketamine S isomer in a way which can be inhaled. If it is introduced into the market, that molecule is going to be very interesting and exciting for us, because, I mean, giving an inhaler to a person coming with depression is going to be something really exciting for all of us. This is a new trial on depressive patients resistant to treatment. Feyza Bey talks about those anyway. Thank you very much.